have a team coming up.
All right, thank you.
Claeysen-Gleyzen has worked at the Orlando Museum of Art for more than 5 years and currently serves as the curator and interim head of collections and exhibitions for the museum. Prior to her tenure in Orlando, she's worked in museums and art galleries across the globe, including the Contemporary Art Museum, I may not pronounce this correctly, Urbis, Manchester, UK, and one of the most reputable galleries in the Middle East. Most recently, she's created the first NFT exhibition for the OMA titled 20 Selfies, Works and NFTs from the Fabio Sandoval collection, and delivered a paper on this topic at the premier NFT Orlando conference just last month. We also have with us presenting Iryna Kanishcheva. She has an MBA and is the founder and owner of Monochronicle. She has curated several public art projects in the USA and in her hometown in the Ukraine. She created 352 Walls in Gainesville, Florida, and also founder of Monochronicle, which is an art service organization and call to artist software dedicated to the equitable solutions and public art industry development. Last and certainly not least, we have Jay Rosen, an artist and web developer. He explores the intersection of perception, visual phenomena, and the natural world through light art installations, wearable glass fashion sculptures, and holographic experiences, aided with AI and augmented reality technologies. He's a web developer at the University of Florida and serves as a Metaverse developer for NFT projects at Mirror Vision Labs, Dragon Change, and Interplay Entertainment. Join me in welcoming.
Thank you, Iryna. Hello? Okay, yeah. It's hard to believe that just 40 years ago we didn't really have such thing as the internet and social media. And now I'm gonna talk a little bit of all these 1, 2, 3 webs.
You need to get very close to the mic.
I guess I'll rather hold it like this. It's a bit short. So Web3 was around the end of 80s and until 2000s, and it's characterized by read-only internet. So at that time we only had static pages and there were a lot of content users but not a lot of content creators because there was not opportunity to upload any feedback or anything on the site. Speaking of public art, you can see Jane Gold here, and the first public art ordinance was established in 1951, which is way before. And I don't even know if artists at that time were able to share murals they were creating. Maybe some of you know or remember, and I'd like to hear that. But what we are familiar with is Web 2 is what's currently happening, or called like social web. It's characterized by the worldwide usage of the internet, a lot of social media. Everyone who creates their own content contribute to this, and it impacted public art a lot. You can see all kinds of artists sharing their content, giving feedback, trying to be better, trying to impress each other. And in 2000, Banksy started his Girls Balloon series, which also inspired a lot of artists to start creating street art. There were a lot of forums and street art blogs, which also contributed, and of course, Winwood Walls. All of these examples made us want to create more and better murals or sculptures and other installations. And Web3 is just under development, but it's starting getting in, and in a few years, it's going to be a reality. So what exactly it is? It's called semantic web, which understands words. So versus Web 2 is just hashtags. In the future, it will be understanding all this and connect devices between each other, which will allow us to have better feedback, customized experiences based on what we contribute. Artificial intelligence will help us get more active data, relevant, and will help us with predictions. While 3D graphics such as AR, VR will be also utilized and used not only by entertainment or gaming, but also such crucial industry as healthcare. Blockchain at the same time will bring us more security, and decentralized users will be able to use it from everywhere, and people will be owning the data, not the internet. Here is an example of an artificial intelligence project. Basically what you see here is just an LED wall, but Rafik and al. Created amazing content, which makes this project unique. He processed 200 million pictures of nature and created this kind of simulation of potential existing worlds. But it's basically just a content, and if you have digital, there's some different kind of visuals. It can be just placed on any LED wall again, or video projection. Trying to play this video. Anyway, another example is AR, VR, which is virtual reality, which can be used in many kind of ways. Here you can see a mural in Gizo that we painted back in 2017, but at the same time artist was using VR technology to draw the same exactly painting but in virtual reality. And I was able to enter this space using Oculus, like we have this headsets, and you can have several people at the same virtual room creating something together. Now let's talk about blockchain and NFT. So this is an example how public art can be transformed into an NFT. You just take a picture of your mural and you mint it, and this is an NFT. And you know, some projects are really successful, and some people say it's kind of a little bit late because the hype was a year, 2 years ago, and everyone wanted to mint something and sell and was expecting to get a great revenue out of it. But it's still connected to the same things that motivates collectors to buy art, right? So Felipe Pantone is a famous artist, everyone likes his work, so they would like to collect his NFTs as well. While maybe not that famous artist may not be that much successful in selling them for a huge price. Who exactly buys NFTs? According to statistics, millennials are 3 times more likely to buy it or collect, and at the same time, people who already collect something, art collectors, would also most likely buy an NFT. It's not only collectibles or visual representation of art as we are familiar with. NFTs will have utility. They are going to stay and not going anywhere. It's basically just a code, and you can just attach it to anything, a physical item, or it can serve as a membership and ticket to an event, and it makes a difference because you can track it on the blockchain. It's secure, it's safe, and you cannot change this information. So here you can see a Monochronicle NFT, which is going to serve as a membership of the network. So artists who register, they're getting this NFT, which will allow them to enter some special events and get some perks in the future. And another example is that it can serve as a certificate of authenticity. So you have an art, it can be fine art, it can be public art, and you have an NFT that basically certifies this. Again, it can be tracked on the blockchain, and it proves the ownership. You can sell it, so then the next owner owns this. It can serve as loyalty rewards, just like a simple point system. Again, at the Monochronicle, we are trying to implement it as a reward for artists who participate in the projects. because they may apply to 1, 2, 3, 100 projects and maybe selected once or twice, and we are just trying to implement something that it will encourage them to keep applying to those projects. And those NFTs, those points that they will get, basically will allow them to get some rewards again, maybe some gifts from the brands or some kind of things we can also manage for them. Governments and voting rights. Governments are trying to find use for NFTs, and it can serve as some kind of vote. Again, it helps to protect the data of users, so it's pretty much secure, and you will have to inscript the information to actually see that. In our case, I did mention this at the first panel, first day, we have an option for public to vote on projects, and people don't have to register, they just click on the link and they have opportunity to vote for a design or a particular artist. And in this case, NFTs also can be used as an opportunity to vote, and again, we track those results. Then it can serve as access to exclusive contents, meet and greet artists, VIPs, fundraising, and tickets to a Metaverse event. Now I will give the mic to Zach.
Hello everyone, my name is Zach Mattan. I'm the creative director at Brand XR and co-founder and CEO at Electrifly. And I'm here today to talk about augmented reality. What is augmented reality? So augmented reality is the technology that allows us to overlay digital experiences on top of our real-world environment. And how is AR being used today? AR is being used to educate. Yeah, thank you. AR is being used to educate, entertain, and inspire people, and meeting them where they're at on mobile. You guys have probably touched and felt AR experiences like branded Instagram or Snapchat filters. We like to call those social AR filters content creation machines with tastefully worked in logos and brand messaging. It allows, these experiences really allow people to create user-generated content around your brand or organization and do the marketing for you. Another big use case that we've helped to popularize is AR murals. So with AR murals, we're able to activate new, existing, or upcoming murals with a digital layer. And this layer can contain virtually anything you can put into a video game. So we can use interactive 3D animations, sound effects, videos, music, and also we all know that public art helps to drive foot traffic and economic development. And with this added digital layer, we can also help to drive digital traffic. We can link out to any website, social media account, web store by using these AR experiences. And these AR murals really allow the viewer to interact with these art pieces like they never have been able to before. It gives people, it gives a community a sense of pride. It gives people a sense of joy and wonder when they're playing with these AR experiences, and ultimately gives them something in their backyard that they're proud to show off and share with people. AR can also be used as a stepping stone to an NFT. So this was a project that we did in my hometown of Detroit with a big real estate developer called Curator and Saxseed. They own 3 luxury apartment buildings in downtown Detroit, and they commissioned 3 local artists to paint an original canvas to be hung up in their lobby, and we created a unique AR experience for each one of those canvases. And within the experience, let's see if this video will play. Within the experience, we built in a button that users can click on. They're then taken to a form to input their resident info, like unit number, email that they have on file. We confirmed that they were a resident at this building, and then they were able to select a slice of this artwork. So we digitally sliced it into 300 or so pieces for each resident of the apartment building, and they were able to then go in, scan it, see this amazing AR experience, and claim an NFT, and really gave a sense of ownership of this artwork to the people in this building. And this was a lot of people's first time claiming an NFT, setting up a crypto wallet, and was a good experience for us to onboard a lot of non-crypto natives into this NFT space. And one of the cool built-in utility aspects of this project was we were able to replace the apartment building's perks card with the NFT. So working with all of the vendors who are a part of this perks program and letting them know, hey, instead of a card, these residents are going to be showing you an NFT now. And one big thing about these AR experiences is being able to put a number on things. People are always taking photos, selfies, videos in front of public art pieces. It's really hard to put a number on these things. So what unique insights can we get from AR experiences? Outside of opens, impressions, shares, and saves, we get some really good information on demographics as far as the viewer's age, gender, and location. We're also able to see their average time spent in the experience, as well as a visual attention heat map showing where most of their time in the experience was spent, as well as conversions. And yeah, I'm here today to premiere our new AR mural with Monochronicle, the Bo Diddley over here. We have a QR code sign if you guys want to scan it and check it out yourselves. Thank you.
Rosen, CEO of Decentraland, I provide computational resources for Web3, AI, and entertainment industry. Metaverse. It's a unique opportunity for artists, creators, and the public to come together online and engage with art in new, innovative ways. It's a way to bring a global audience and make artwork more accessible. I think of art as a video game in the Metaverse, where you have a 3D character avatar, and you can explore worlds and keep your character and your progress into these other video game worlds. It's this idea that you can really bring everything along the internet into this big mesh of worlds colliding. And this is all powered by NFTs, which are the building blocks on top of blockchain. NFTs can really be anything. Anything can be digitized. It doesn't just have to be a picture. It can be a video, a 3D model, entire programs. This is an example of Mirror Vision Gallery inside of Decentraland. Decentraland was the very first metaverse on Ethereum. Ethereum is a very big project. It's a decentralized operating system, essentially the world's computer, where anyone can upload their files to as NFTs and run apps on this autonomous system. No one fully owns Ethereum. It's not like a tech company that owns all the data that's being uploaded. Instead, the individuals own their data, and it's being built by the community for the community. So the metaverse is being built by everyone, for us. This is a demonstration of the Mirrors and Gallery. This is the Monochronicle exhibition, where we have 13 artists from the Monochronicle network. We have an opening on Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. It'll be a great time to check out the Metaverse. These are just walking around other places outside of Mirrors and Gallery. This is the neighborhood. I'm in the middle of Crypto Valley. My neighbors are Binance, MakerDAO, Rarible, Polygon. These are the biggest companies in Web3. These are billion-dollar companies. And somehow I was able to buy this little tiny piece of land right before Facebook changed the name to Meta, which caused this big Metaverse explosion. So I have this little art gallery next to the biggest NFT art gallery, Rarible. This is also the Decentraland Foundation, and this is the art gallery of Decentraland, Polygon. These are very good companies. So as a designer, I was selected to actually create the very first largest NFT gallery at the Miami Art Basel Week for Decentraland Conference Convention Center. And something I realized was, when we built the floor plans, was it's just a bunch of TVs displaying digital art, and I realized people think that. They see it's just a picture of a monkey on a TV and maybe they don't get it. So I really challenged myself to how do we bring NFTs and Metaverse to the real world. I submitted these public art installations through the Monochronicle network. They weren't accepted, but I did create these ideas of holograms. Holograms can be made in different ways, such as with laser projections on tinted windows, glass, or through the Pepper's Ghost pyramid effect, where you have these TVs installed in the ceiling of my structure, and they're actually reflecting into the glass at a 45-degree angle, which creates this illusion of a floating image. Now, these are not just pictures, these are animated, controlled by AI. These creatures, such as the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium and at this bird for the city of Gainesville, they have behaviors and they can interact with their environment through sensors and connected online to understand their environment. So throughout the day, you'll see the Jaguar pacing around in its glass cube, or it can respond if a touchdown is scored, it can celebrate. It doesn't just have to be a Jaguar, it can also be used as an information kiosk, such as displaying maps of the city, purchasing ticket events, showing a schedule. And again, it's this idea of bringing interactivity into art that is a little beyond just bronze sculpture. It is fully dynamic and evolving, and something that can change throughout the days. With the city of Gainesville, this installation idea was, how can we actually have a public government institution purchase NFTs? They can't purchase cryptocurrency, and they only purchase public art. So if we can actually create a way to display NFTs as public art, this is a way for them to invest in new emerging artists who are using digital art, especially with this big boom now of generative AI art. I think there's going to be a lot of artists going to digital, and this is a way to showcase the next generation of artists.
It's really hard to push innovative projects through an open call. In most cases, our administrators will think, what is that? We want to be safe, we are not going to select that. But you see, blockchain has a direct impact on public art, and this is an example of a sculpture created to commemorate this in Slovenia, sponsored by a cryptocurrency app. And here is one of my favorite slides and ideas, which I believe is going to become a reality, but maybe in the next 25 years of FAPAP, because this is how the government sector is going to use blockchain. So the benefits of blockchain or smart contracts is in streamlining the process without using human power. So you basically need to create a condition that will trigger the transaction. But just in case of public art, it's hard because you have to explain what the criteria is, how art is supposed to meet this criteria to trigger it. But ideally, I see an art agency that wants to commission an artist. There is some kind of deliverable, I don't know, design, submission, application, or something that the system is able to recognize. And with Web3, which understands words, as we already learned, it will be possible. Then the purchase is happening, transaction is recorded on the blockchain. This information is now accessible to everyone, all the other art agencies that will be able to use it for their own, benefit, and then that will help art agency to work all together on improving the industry instead of just reinventing the wheel all the time. And here is a person who actually worked with an institution and was able to implement NFTs. Probably gonna have to hold this.
Hi everyone, I'm Coralie Claeysen-Gleyzen and I'm with the Orlando Museum of Art. And contrary to my co-panelists here, I'm not an expert in NFTs and Web3. So I come from the traditional art world, and I've had to have a lot of learning, this past maybe 2 years since really NFTs came to the forefront of the art world. I felt that was a boat I couldn't miss, and that it was my mission to get educated on the subject and also, educate people that come through the museum. So, just quick show of hands. I'm curious to see how many of you feel you completely understand what NFTs and Web3 is about. Three, 4 hands. This is great. So just so you know about that, apart from these guys, right? But just so you know, I believe at lunchtime today there's an opportunity for a roundtable, so we can share a meal. And feel free to ask questions because this is what this is about. So I'm quickly gonna talk to you about something which is, it may seem as an utopia, but maybe I would like all of us maybe to dream a little. So the idea is that it's a dream that's almost within reach, thanks to NFTs and Web3. And that dream is the dream of a museum without walls. So the mission for museums is to be accessible. Okay. The idea or the concept of the museum without walls is not new. It was actually conceived by André Malraux, who's a French philosopher, in 1947. So I'm using a real concept, and I'm literally going to simplify it a great deal today. But literally the idea behind for André Malraux was that the photographic medium allowed for an infinite number of possibilities for curation and for sharing museum content, and thus, enhancing the reach of an art institution and the power of that art institution. So keeping that in mind, that photographic medium is transportable and highly reproducible. Now, can you imagine what André Malraux would have thought if he could have foreseen the birth of the internet and NFTs and now Web3? All of this happening within 80 years, or less than 80 years. So, in January, we opened the first exhibition that contained NFTs at the museum, and that was an opportunity to educate the people. Right here you have a piece, I put a few pieces for you to see what NFTs we're talking about. This is the work of Grant Rivignan, who is one of the highest selling artists right now in the NFT world. So he is both a painter, but has also started digitizing his work and creating digital art for the purpose of NFTs. Another artist right here, Amir Fallah, painter as well, who has been resampling his work to create digital artworks, such as this one. And it's actually animated, but I need to press a few buttons here. On the image. Sorry. So there you go, there's very gentle motion in the image. I'm quickly going to go through, however, the work of Colette Robbins right here. So Colette Robbins is a sculptress And she is both an analog sculptress, which means, three-dimensional tangible object, but also a 3D digital artist. And right here, thanks to NFT, she's giving us a vision of her work in an architectural setting that's almost impossible to recreate. And she's given us more than the work in an architectural setting. She's also given us an angle, a point of view, something that she wanted to recreate from an experience as a child working on her parents' carpet. The work of Jake Fried right here, which is a stop-motion animation, which actually comes from a two-dimensional artworks, which is layered, and the artist captures each layer and then animates it. So without NFT, those works wouldn't really exist. That stop-motion animation would be a film, but it makes it commercial, like the artist is able to sell the work. Another artist, Michael Johnson, and I'm going through really quickly, but there were 19 artists in the show that had NFTs. This is Michael Johnson, who created a little black astronaut Aku, and here you can see a couple of images of the work. These are actual 10 beautiful chapters of the story of Aku, who is a little black boy who goes from his daily life, normal daily life with challenges, to fantastic worlds where he meets friends, and it's an actual very beautiful story. So these works, the challenge that we face when we show NFTs in museums is that essentially those works are meant to exist in the Metaverse, in Web3. So, but we are bringing them back. It doesn't look like this is working. Oh, there we go. So we're bringing them back to the realm of a tangible object in order to be able to show them in the museum, so on screens, right? But really, right now they exist in the Metaverse, so this is a quick rendering of the gallery where you can see the same works we are showing in the museum on the collector's online gallery. So you can navigate part of his collection on the Metaverse. So going back to our dream of a museum without walls. So I work for a brick and mortar institution. So an institution that has real walls, we also have windows. And what if, I want us to kind of use our imagination. What if we were able to reach those walls, that are creating our brick and mortar institutions and actually use windows as potential screen areas. So here you have the work of Rifik Anadol, who Iryna spoke about earlier, and to the left you have a video performance by the Cave. So this is the idea, again, that the museum needs to be more approachable, more open, more accessible, whether we open or close. So these could be used anytime all day. Now I want to talk about a few local to Orlando partnerships and projects that I find really exciting, that are potential partners that we're going to be working with in the future. So again, today I would love to hear, because I keep discovering new projects, but I would love to meet you if you have other ideas, First off, we have our Art Square, which is a new project coming to life in downtown Orlando later this year. So it's a project of Ascend Studios. The idea is that they're reusing unused not parking lot, but lots, so they're working with developers in order to activate those dead spaces in town, and by using screens. So here you have screen technology, but also activating spaces with having the potential for performances, live performances. So he wants really Josh Almeida, who is the owner, really wants to make unknown artists known. So it's a platform. Thinking about that platform to showcase artists, living artists. Another project I find really exciting is UCF's virtual arboretum, which is actually a project of UCF Harrington Lab. So Dr. Harrington is working with our students. So again, thinking about the potential for education, right? Which is key to our institution. So using 3D renderings and virtual reality and augmented reality with our students, she's able to capture UCF's arboretum, put it in the digital realm, and then you can actually stop and look at the detail of information about this plant. So it's an educational opportunity. You can zoom in, you can stop, you can create your own path through the project. And finally, I want to mention this really great, exciting project. I don't know if many of you are aware of this, but Orlando Economic Partnership has created a digital twin of Orlando. It's actually more than Orlando. It's using holographic technology to map 800 square miles of Orange, Seminole, and Osceola County. And so the holographic element is in the middle right here, and it's got a 360-degree screen around you. You're given an iPad that you can control, and you can create your own, path, if you will, through the technology. But the idea is initially conceived to be used for business, so that they could pitch a businessman that lives across the world, showcase the city of Orlando and pick for them a specific lot to build a new building or implant their business. And that comes with a lot of data. Now, my personal dream is to use this to actually map the art offerings. Can you imagine if we could have our museum collections on there? If we could have the MCO, Greater Orlando Airport Authority has a public art collection. It could be placed on there. Orange County, I4 Ultimate. You could actually follow I4 and see the sculptures. We have Jeffrey right here today. You could see his sculpture across the globe in the context of Orlando. The City of Orlando collection. UCF, we've done Town and Gown. I don't know if you're aware of Town and Gown, but it's a great endeavor to bring people from the town to see the art collection, for example, on campus at UCF. But all of this could be mapped on here. Literally, the resolution is so good that you can zoom into, I believe, a few centimeters. So, but really, the possibilities are endless, and I'm really excited about that as an educational tool, because remember, each time you see an artwork, you could click on it, you could have information about that artwork. So it's more than just putting an art collection on a website, it's actually seeing it in context. So to me, that's the dream of the museum. Without walls, it's within reach, it's right there if the technology that is used for business can be used for art as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coralie. Jay can create this installations for you. He just needs to pass the open call. And here I just want to announce an event. The opening, as Jay mentioned, on the Metaverse. If you scan this with your phone camera, you will get access to the page that describes how to enter Metaverse, how to attend this exhibition, and then you will see artists and NFT. You can interact and explore yourself. It's fun.
Let's have 10 for the panel. now we have a special guest to speak to us a few remarks before lunch. Mayor Anderson was actually our Commissioner Anderson from 2008 to 2011, and he came back to be re-elected mayor in 2021. He is, we keep him busy in the communications department. In addition to his full-time career and all the duties he has serving as mayor on the dais at the commission meetings and umpteen other meetings, he always says yes when we ask him to do something, and he said yes to be here today to greet you all because he is very passionate about arts and culture and the history of Winter Park. He loves his city, so he's happy to be here. Please welcome our mayor, Phil Anderson.
Thank you, Frank. You know, you forgot to mention that as a junior in high school, I won the National Merit Scholarship honorary mention for a pen and ink drawing. So I'm well qualified to be before you today, but I just want to tell you, thank you for everything that you do. You know, for those of us that work in these big blocks of buildings and you go outside or you go into a public venue and you see something that's a piece of art, it can be inspirational. You know, it can give you a little bit of relief. You know, I used to work in Chicago, and on a really bad day, I could walk down to the Art Institute of Chicago, and I'd go in the Impressionist wing, and I'd see a Van Gogh, and I'd say, yeah, my day's not as bad as his was. But at least I have beer. But, you know, I think what you do is amazing, and it helps all of us as we go about our day. But I'm really here just to welcome you to Winter Park. You know, I think you deserve some congratulations. I understand this is the 25th conference for the Florida Association of Public Art Professionals, so thank you very much for keeping it all together. I also want to thank you and congratulate you for picking what may be the prettiest city and most charming city in all of Florida, here in Winter Park. And I hope you get a chance to spend some time here and really see why we love our title as the City of Arts and Culture. You know, I also want to thank a group of people that put a lot of time and energy into what we do here in Winter Park, and that is our Public Art Advisory Board. So if y'all can stand up and be recognized really quickly. Thank you for your work. And because of, I don't know, what is it, 6 or 7 years of constant lobbying, in the last 6 months, the City Commission has found a way to give a ongoing funding source for some of the work they do. Thank you. You know, I know that you're going to spend some time looking at the I-4 art that was commissioned as part of you know, our transportation network. And one of the pieces you'll get to see is Rhythmic Colors right down here on Fairbanks and I-4. And it's a really fun and colorful piece, and it serves as a really warm welcome and a reminder of the city's long-standing commitment to arts and culture. And I'm very happy to have with us today Stephen Purcell and Eugene Damasco of Rogers, Lovelet, and Fritz, RLF. If y'all want to stand up real quick. This is part of the design team. You know, I think they were out there screwing the bolts on, making it stand up the day before the show. But the Rogers firm has deep roots here in Winter Park. It goes back to a gentleman named Gamble Rogers, who really was the designer of many of our historic homes. And since this is also May is Historic Preservation Month, I want to just mention that connection. And if you do have a chance, the Casa Feliz historic home, which is one of his masterpieces, is right down the street. Rhythmic Colors is just one of the addition to a lot of other things that we have going on in public art. We've got the Pulaski Museum, which is a beautiful sculpture garden. But one of the most accessible pieces, I don't know where the speaker was that used the word accept, well, all of y'all did, is Molecular Dog. And if you go off the street here, Molecular Dog is this bronze, well, if you see it, or you see the picture in a minute, it's a bronze statue of a dog, but it is so accessible because it's in the middle of a playground. And that dog gets touched and caressed and loved by all of the kids in the neighborhood. And I just think that it's such a great thing to have in the city of Winter Park. We also have Tree Whisperers in Central Park, which is right by our historic train station. The Emily Fountain in Central Park, Man Carving His Own Destiny, and Girl with Doves in Martin Luther King Jr. Park, just to name a few. And if any of y'all have ever seen Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, has anybody seen Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Well, you happen to know that Fred Rogers graduated from Rollins College right here in Winter Park. And by the way, Rollins College is the oldest college in the state of Florida, so we're very proud of that. But they commissioned an amazing sculpture by, I think it was Robert Day, that was commissioned and installed last year. Another beautiful public piece on the Rollins campus. If we can redirect your bus on the way out here, we're also going to send you by the largest piece of sculpture in our city. We affectionately call it the Winter Park Library and Event Center. But it is a sculptural piece of architecture that, if viewed as you're approaching it from especially the garden of the park, it is an amazing piece of sculpture in and of itself. It was designed by Sir Robert Ajay. It is a state-of-the-art library and event center, and we take a lot of pride in having it almost as much of a fixture of art as we do as a community building. But we also want to celebrate the fact that Winter Park has over 17 nonprofit, world-class arts and cultural organizations in the Arts and Culture Alliance, and I think they're represented here as well. Our communications team, you met earlier, they did a great job preparing for this. Your little goodie bag in front of you is part of their work, and I hope that you can use it to discover everything that Winter Park has to offer in the arts and the arts, really of all shades and sizes. I failed to mention that if you are able to go to the library or the event center, that's also the home of our Winter Park Sidewalk Art Festival. And its Best of Show collection. This is one of the longest running art shows in the state with over 60 years of history. We're glad you're here, and we hope that you can spend more time. I know y'all are going to have a busy time, but come back and visit us at some point and really get to know the city and everything it has to offer. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that we have the largest collection of stained glass art at the Hosmer Morse Museum right down the street. So thank you very much for coming, and enjoy your time here.